Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And have you included, Director Vought, estimates or a fund for the war in Iran in the budget you presented to Congress?
No, sir.
Are you planning to present that in short order?
We are working on a supplemental for Congress for additional needs. We're working through that review process. Part of it is the length of the war. Part of the operations overseas. Part of it is the extent to which some items might be fiscal year 26 or 27, and we're working through that.
Thank you. Would I be in the ballpark to say we've already spent at least $50 billion?
I wouldn't want to make a characterization of that at this point.
Okay. I would say, as the most knowledgeable person in the executive branch of the budget, I would expect you to have pretty good numbers on that, so I'm a little disappointed in that answer. My understanding is that the most recent plans, at least circulated in the press, have been to present a supplemental of somewhere in the ballpark of $80 to $100 billion. Is that more or less where you're headed?
Well, again, I think my guess is if you were to be on the inside of the Department of War, these costs would fluctuate given the day, and so I think it's hard to give you an average cost, and that's one of the reasons we're going to come after much work and review to give you a full request with the time.
Thank you. I do think it's important when a budget to include all the things that we know are going on in order to have a good foundation when it's presented. But I do look forward to whatever you present in the near future. I noted that you did not include deficit numbers in your budget, even though those are required by law. Why not?
It's a discretionary budget. One of the things that I believe is important is to not confuse the country when we're in the middle of several reconciliation efforts over the next year. This is making sure that you can start the appropriations process. We did a mid-session review in which we will comply with the law at the mid-session point about how we are doing. It's also, one of the things when you do
I'll take that answer. Thank you.
When you take the full budget.
I disagree with the notion that it's discretionary to follow the law. The law did require deficit numbers. They can be extracted if one sits down and does the numbers from your revenue and spending projections, and that includes a deficit of about $2.2 trillion in 2027. I think perhaps the reason you didn't want to include deficit numbers is you didn't want to draw attention to we are in a situation where we are not in a major recession. And you're not including in this the cost of the war, so that's not a factor. And yet we're continuing to drive this nation deeper and deeper into debt. The projections show that in 20 years, with this 6% structural deficit, we will be in the position of basically being able to fund only Medicaid, Medicare, defense, and interest payments, which means no investments in healthcare, housing, and education. And those investments are diminished in your budget. So am I accurate in saying, extracting from the numbers you do have in there, that the deficit is going to be about $2.2 trillion for 2027 as projected in your budget?
Again, this budget has not intended to tell you where we would be from the deficit, but I do appreciate the concern on debt and deficits. I do appreciate the concern. When we came into office, we were staring into face $32 trillion in deficits. We have already gotten that down to $18 trillion. We were making progress each and every year.
On your own time, thank you. Actually, the situation is you added $30 trillion last year to the debt over the next 30 years, or $50 trillion if the interest rates are 1% higher than CBO projected. So rather than reducing deficits and debt, you are increasing them. And this is on top of $8 trillion in hugely strategically misshaped wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, $8 trillion that was not invested in American families. And this budget continues the process of saying we don't care about American families. The foundations for a family are health care, housing, education, and a good paying job. And the president's ran on providing a foundation for families, and this budget does the opposite. Social Security. Why not include a plan to address Social Security when we are just 6 years out from the trust fund being exhausted?
The president has made very clear that he is going to protect the benefits of Social Security into the future. And so-
Exactly. So why not protect them? Why not have a plan? Why not come to Congress and say this has to be a priority? Why not have the president give a speech and say, we're really pleased that Chairman Graham held a hearing on Social Security, and we want to work in a bipartisan fashion to get this fixed and fixed now, not wait until the trust fund runs out of money and families are facing a 20 to 25% reduction in their benefits.
No senior is going to face a reduction in their benefits. This president is going to fully protect them at each and every points of the deadline. Right now, we have to get the government funded, and as a result, we need Congress to work again.
My time's up. Thank you.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.